Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, we got a little knot in the microphone there. I'll edit that out of this video. I don't know if I can take many more weeks like the week I had this week. It's just too much. I was showing some land to somebody and just running around and building things. I've got little metal flakes on the floor here from grinding. And, I wanted to, by the way, this is something I found out. I got a couple buddies that work at Costco. I don't know if you know this or not. Of course, your little card there has got a picture on the back. Some of them don't. That's becoming mandatory, which is no big deal. But I found out, and I triple confirmed it, that they're going to start installing facial recognition cameras at checkout and on entrance. So Costco has decided to go full-on totalitarian. I've always known it to be a rather unsavory company. Hello. That's kind of how sleep-deprived I am. This has been one of the busiest weeks of my life. I kind of procrastinated. I know there's an on-season in Florida. I kind of been saving money to take a vacation, and I would love to go to Key West, and I've been there. And the great thing is that everything's in walking distance downtown, and so you don't need a car rental. And there's nowhere to park a car anyway. Also, too, makes you save a lot of money. But, well, the prices basically doubled overnight. I thought I still had time, but I kind of knew better. So now, like, the cheapest vacation and the cheapest Roach Motel, not including food, just airline and the stay at the hotel, minimum is $3,600, roughly. I looked everywhere, every sort of discount possible. So it's like, well, I waited too late. I don't know what I'm going to do now, but now I can't afford to take the vacation that I wanted. Maybe I don't need a vacation. I'll try to rationalize it myself that way. I wanted to talk about free energy itself, and a lot of people didn't understand what I was referring to. And I actually had a buddy go over to China, and he reported back to me on the cost. I need a minimum of 200 of those magnets. They're 1-inch base, 3/4-inch high, and 10mm cube tip for making a phased array for introducing a temporal component, alternating fields and a helix around a stator to induce power manifestation, because an AC generator doesn't actually generate power, as I've said countless times. It actually manifests it by introducing a phase, basically torque, in the system for the generation of of power. He's reported back to me, I just actually spent what little money I have saved up for my vacation. I spent on property taxes. I know about that. I'd like to go over a short list here before going into free energy and talk about some of the people that are no longer with us here in the land of the living. I'm going to use the words very carefully that way. Stefan Marinov, leader of the European Free Energy Movement, 1997. Yeah, I don't think he fell out of that window. No, that's what it's reported. Dr. John Mullen, nuclear physicist, worked for McDonnell Douglas. Yeah, he's no longer in the land of the living. Dmitry Petronov, plasma battery. Yeah, never seen from again in 2010. That's the last I saw of him. Have you seen Dmitry? Nya, не видел. That would be in Russian, by the way. It means I haven't seen him. Zachary Warfield, inventor, developed the plasma battery, along with Petronov. Yeah, strange boating accident. Yeah, sure. Eugene Malov, physicist expert in cold fusion. Yeah, 2004 he left the land of the living. I read the Goose, patent of the free energy, 0-point energy field, 2007. Yeah, they found him expired in his car at the airport. Well, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. No. Rory Johnson. I could go. I've actually got 12 more names here. Mark Tomian, Stan Myers. Everybody knows about Stan Myers. Everybody sends me. It's like, I know about Stan Myers. I'd actually like to see this device up close and some of the detailed diagrams I've seen. I've seen crude drawings. Not very helpful. I can make out drawings and maps way better than most people, but still inefficient. I need to go over implications and talk about free energy. I don't think I know. Nobody mulls through this in their mind and the importance and magnitude by which it would actually unhinge things. You know, there's good unhinging and there's bad unhinging. Like if you unhinge, the grip of a grizzly bear around your neck, that's a good unhinging. If you unhinge the nails that's holding your house up, that would be a bad unhinging. So when I use the word unhinging, I know a lot of people would actually misinterpret that. Also, too, the device that I want to prototype and build, like I said, I only need 200 of those magnets. The rest of it I can build, but I cannot make, nor do I have the million-dollar equipment for making those magnets. So I need to get 200 of those. I'm of great appreciation of the folks that actually reached out for the information on that, but that's all that I actually need. I've got endless rolls of wire. By the way, if it comes to fruition, the first thing I would do is say, well, they're watching your email and they're watching everything, is actually release the information to a lot of people before announcing it. So I say if I disappear, then you know what happened to me, right? The device would be completely scalable, but one thing, and I've not heard, there might be, a YouTube page or a Rumble video, I don't know, but I have not seen one. They will rush across it very quickly, but they actually won't talk about the unhinged nature of such a device, because it's completely scalable. I've been asked this a million times, and the technology already exists. People say, well, I like to have a lightsaber, like they have in Star Wars. Well, the device that will actually do that already exists. There are countless videos of it, but the power supply is a little bit larger than that of a Volkswagen. Yeah. The question is a scalable free energy device that does not require the burning of fuel or the input from some super thick zero gauge mains that are tapped into the power lines in the back of the factory or the back of your house. Like, well, this is a genuine lightsaber. It will do the same thing as the lightsaber in the movies because that's what everybody wants. I remember the one, animation where it gets dropped vertically and it starts passing through the earth. I think we all know what we're referring to on that one because it can't be stopped. But the question is a scalable power supply for that. The free energy implications are absolutely amazing. Everybody wants the Star Wars blaster. What if, since the free energy device is, and this is not theory, it's fact, completely scalable such that, you could just pull up and completely, said gigantic structure, those are the words I'm going to carefully use, said gigantic structure, can be taken off its base, kind of like one of those 24-inch chainsaw blades, which I've seen professional tree fellers wield. And properly sharpened, they'll just right through that super huge tree, just like a hot stick of butter. Well, this creates a lot of implications. The technology actually gets out there to build it, and anybody can scale it for whatever amount of energy you need to tap off of it. You could take that gigantic structure right off of its base. Any gravity tech, any millionaire, that's all it would take is a simple millionaire, not a billionaire, can plop a pad on the moon or Mars. Now the technology has existed now, pressurized containers for hazardous materials, so on and so forth. These pressurized, they already have them, the Army has them. They actually parachuted them out of the back of C-130s. They're completely 100% pressurized. Well, that same technology applies for dwellings. You're talking about the non-existent atmosphere of the moon or the horrific atmosphere of that of Mars. The only thing that keeps any millionaire from having a craft and putting down, say, 30 or 40 units and having a miniature city is a matter of free energy. I mean, if you have free energy, you could transport anything. If it's scalable and you could actually haul it there, and a C-130 can haul, I think, 4 of those pods, a C-130, and they actually kind of come apart like origami, and they're completely pressurized. Something slightly more sturdy than that for plopping on the moon and on Mars. This means total loss of control by the powers that be. These sealed pressurized containers, you only need to drop a few of these said containers on the moon within a day to have a lunar home. That sounds like a great idea. The problem is that nobody thinks about the implications. Well, if you have and you're a millionaire and you've plopped a miniature city in a matter of a week, and these pressurized origami container units, I think they run about $500,000 a piece, so for the cost of like $40 million in a free energy device to actually haul them there, bringing the supplies in, I mean, who are you answerable to? You're not even on anybody's territory. There's not maritime, there's not U.S. law. Who are you answerable to? The implications of that, the one thing evil people that want total control and power over others, they don't want is for you to be outside the bubble of their control. Unless, of course, you're playing along with them. But once the genie's out of the bottle, then it's out. We're talking about Pandora's box here, except a good Pandora's box. People consider chaos, and of course, sister to chaos is loss of power by the ruling elites looking to hold on to power. Chaos is usually, of course, the darkest point right before the dawn of freedom. This has always been proven to be the case in the past. What level of freedom that manifests as, of course, is another matter. But we're talking about permanent freedom. You can't put Pandora's box, the lid, closed again, nor can you actually seal up that technology once it's reached to everybody. If somebody knows how to build it, then they have a scalable free energy device. Then who are you answerable to? Heating, cooling, crop harvesting, most of manual labor would be made extinct. Everybody's seen the quite autonomous and quite articulated bipedal robots. I mean, what's your limit on that if you say you want 5 or 6 of those out in the country? Box of spare parts? You know, you don't need solar panels anymore. You're not going to be relying on propane. Not going to be relying upon gasoline or diesel. What is it that you're going to be reliant upon? This is my land. I don't need your energy. With free energy, which is scalable, you're not answerable to anybody. Okay, you can still pay your property taxes, but what else are you? Grow your own crops, have the rope. This is, by the way, what the elitists have in mind. Free energy, you know, having bipedal robots designed by Elon Musk or who knows who. I've already seen them. They're quite good. They're really getting there very, very quickly. This would completely put the military-industrial complex out of business. I said bismuth. I'm always thinking about bismuth. I'll edit that out of this video. Out of business. I said bismuth. I'm always saying the word bismuth, especially in live stream. Everybody's talking about bismuth compounds, and some of the neat things that I've done. I've actually created programmable bismuth, and it sounds complicated, but it's not. You just take liquid bismuth and you chill it in a mold directly over top of a very powerful magnetic field, and it gives bismuth qualities. Magnetic levitation, which is room temperature levitation, by the way, of the little micromagnets. It'll actually levitate over twice as far off of the bismuth when it's chilled over a point source magnetic field. That was my discovery from years and years ago. You could go find the videos. I think a lot of people think I just make videos. Where's that fat bald tattoo guy flapping his lips again? That's all he does is flap his lips. In videos, that's really all I do. This is true, but I actually get my hands dirty when I'm not making videos, building things, fixing things, inventing things. I invented something really quite proud of myself a couple days ago. I want to talk about it in this video, but anyway, we put the military-industrial complex completely out of business. I said bismuth again. This is what sleep deprivation looks like. What would go extinct overnight? There's an extremely long laundry list. Airlines, energy companies, natural gas, engine manufacturers. Coal would end, natural gas would end, crude oil would end, solar would definitely end, hydroelectric would end, nuclear power generation would end. Total liberation from the GOVT. The government would lose control. What are you going to do? The millionaires got Martian bases or lunar bases. It's like, well, I've already got the free energy craft. With free energy craft, all you have to do is build some sort of titanium structure, and since it's scalable, you could haul pressurized containers to the moon. Who's going to stop you? Nobody owns the moon. There's no laws up there that control humanity. If you had a handful of geniuses building free energy devices, installing it in a pressurized titanium hybrid ship of some variety, because anti-gravity is not the fascinating part. Everybody's fascinated by anti-gravity. Ooh, look at that. It's got a glowing plasmoid field around it, which of course that's the case, and it's got vectored propulsion. It could stop on a dime because it's actually isolated from forward momentum. That actually fascinates people, but it fascinates people the same way that puppets fascinate children. Children are fascinated by the puppets, but a smarter person is fascinated by the person, controlling the puppets. Like, that guy's got some serious skills. That's one good puppeteer. I can't see him, but I know he's there. What's fascinating about anti-gravity field propulsion tech, and everything is either a boom tech, like gasoline, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, all the rockets that have been launched, and that's all boom tech. You're combusting, not rockets in the case of gasoline or propane or coal, but hydrazine, liquid oxygen, on and on and on. That's just boom tech. There's only two types of propulsion systems. There's boom tech and then there's field propulsion tech. Field propulsion tech, well, where are you going to get super, super, super near bottomless, essentially bottomless amounts of power from? You're not going to get it from any of the fuel that fuels boom tech, as I humorously call it, boom tech. It goes boom. You light it, it goes boom. That impels you a certain distance, the same way your internal combustion engine works, of course, to drive you down the road. Anything a battery works. Even the battery gets charged off of boom tech. People's like, well, where are you getting the power to charge those 10,000 lithium cells in your Tesla car? And people don't ask themselves that question. The real puppet master behind anti-gravity, i.e. field propulsion tech, is free energy devices. That is the real wonder. That's the real mystery. Anti-gravity is not something fantastical. It is to a superficial mind, but it's not. I mean, everything operates off the right-hand rule. You usually see a hand that looks like this. Just go look up the right-hand rule. There's 10,000 explanations for the right-hand rule. If you know the direction of the current, and you know the flow of the energy, you know the vector. Very, very simple. So the question is the field propulsion tech. Total liberation from the government. Could you imagine what that loss of control would look like? The military-industrial complex itself relies on various spectrum of boom tech. I mean, that would all end overnight. If you could have a smart kid with a soldering iron, which I got a soldering... Here we go. I was just using this last night. I got a soldering iron right here. Yeah, a good one too. Actually, it's a lot better than this. This is a good one though. Kid with a soldering iron and some decent skills, and he can create a field propulsion, not field propulsion, excuse me, a free energy device. Who is he answerable to? I keep the lights on 24/7. I can feed my robots and all my devices. I disconnect from the grid completely. I don't need I don't need anything other than food and water. The super mega billion dollar subs created and run by the U.S. government. Of course, there's other governments that actually have. The only reason they have to surface? They actually desalinate the water from the oceans. They got unlimited drinking water. Also generates oxygen for breathing. The only thing they ever have to surface or come to port for is food. Essentially unlimited energy for propulsion. All you need to breathe and all the water you'll ever need to drink. The only shortage is food. Imagine that on a much, much higher scale, except Joe Schmo that's good with electronics and knows how to solder can build a scalable free energy device. Who is he answerable to? What are you going to do to him that, is going to upset his system, is going to furrow his brow? Think about how much time you spend working, other than taxes, which is quite significant. How much time we spend working to pay the utility bill. Well, that's a huge loss of control. Well, people would grow their food in the basement, but it requires a lot of super power-sucking lighting. Hydroponics, a lot of power. So I'm not going to spend $300, $500 a month to grow $100 worth of food. You're not going to spend $500 a month to grow $100 of food, roughly, right? Well, with free energy, you can be growing your own food. Who are you answerable to? This loss of control is something that nobody considers. All of these names I mentioned at the beginning of this list, and it's a lot longer list than that. Stefan Maronov, Stan Myers, Mark Tomian, Rory Johnson, Eris de Gus, Eugene Mala, Zachary, on and on and on and on. They cannot allow that to get out there. The loss of control or letting that Pandora's box of freedom, because it's always darkest before the dawn, and there's several ways, like I said, to unhinge something. In a good way, to unhinge it, and a bad way to unhinge it. Well, it'd be good for us, but it would be absolutely horrible for them, the controlling powers that be. I spent much of my life knowing, and I use the word knowing in a derogatory fashion, because knowing, i.e. episteme, is far, far inferior to wisdom and comprehension and understanding. Thinking, not 100% certain, because you're always questioning yourself. But when you know, you know. But we're talking about empirical knowledge here and constructing something. That nobody understands the fundamental big picture behind an AC generator, because it doesn't generate anything. Sure it does, generates power. No, generation is when you have two or more things and you put them together and you do something to it and it makes something, like a cake. They don't. The only thing that's happening is the introduction of a temporal variable, and of course all AC generators. To keep it super simple, people always accuse me of complicating things, but I'm not interested in complicating anything. Nature is fundamentally simple, and it does follow Occam's razor. And that is an AC generator. What we call an AC generator is an inside-out magnet. The magnetic field's on the inside, the dielectric reflector's on the out. It's varied with respect to time because both of those conjugate components are an arch form. It's literally turning nature inside out and introducing a temporal variable. Well, we can still take that arch form of an inside-out magnet, except apply a temporal variable by using the temporal variable that exists naturally from a point source magnetic field and introduce a phased array of a magnetic field. So we're introducing time with no kinetic input. I actually had somebody the last time I talked about free energy say, what are you talking about? Wind power is converted into electrical power. It's like, that's not what happens. That's not my opinion. The wisest minds that know about energy and generators, they'll all tell you. There is no, chain of connection between wind or water. There is in solar, but that's a different beast. Between wind and water or any kinetic input. That is not converted. What you're doing is you're introducing a temporal variable into an arch form. The arch form is that thing we're calling an AC generator. So I was certain for years and years and years, a long, long time, free energy is not possible. And it dawned on me many years ago that not only is it not possible, it's 100% reality. But the people that keep discovering same keep getting disappeared. I'm going to use the word disappeared instead of the word I'd like to use. Why do they keep getting disappeared? You have to, not that any of us want to, we have to stick ourselves in the mind of these entities that are not good. Total loss of control is frightening. That is the stuff of their nightmares. And free energy is the stuff, the very essence of their nightmares. They do not want it. No way, no how. They would lose control 110%. I know you can't have more than 100%, but that's what they would lose. And it would be lost forever. There's, other than wiping the earth completely clean of anybody and all records, which is essentially impossible, the genie would be out of the box and all control would be lost. What was it that Westinghouse said about power distribution systems? I think it was Westinghouse that said it. Unless we could put a meter on it, it's no use to us. I think those are his words. In other words, unless we can meter it and start charging people, you know, who cares about this power grid stuff? If we can put a meter on it, then we're set. But without being able to put a meter on it, this is all... It's like, yes, sir, but this would give power and lighting and safety, and who cares? Unless we can put a meter on it, we're not interested in it. I think those are Westinghouse's words. And from the perspective of people like that, and the same people we deal with today, this is the truth. This isn't the case of metering it. This is the case of once the genie's out of the bottle, it's out. You put the genie back in the bottle, but anybody that's talked about it or proven that they've got it, well, they are disappeared. Pushing up daisies, is that the words I'm looking for? I can assure you of one thing, even if I were to leave this earth tonight or tomorrow, heart attack or whatever, because none of us know when we're going to go. I can assure you that free energy is as real as it gets. I was certain for a long time that it wasn't. Actually, not certain. I was extremely self-assured that it wasn't. And that line of reasoning was illogical and irrational. You cannot know, and this is the reason why at the Energy Conference, and you read any of these people that know about energy generation and how a AC generator works, they'll tell you these things are not generating power at all. It's an arch form with a temporal variable introduced into it which manifests power. That being the case, ipso facto, free energy is a 100% reality. But the release of that information is the last thing that they're going to let happen. That still is not going to keep us from achieving it, however. As the Chinese saying goes, there's only a couple things you could hide for so long. 3 things: the sun, the moon, and the truth. I hope you like this video. If you ever want to make a donation or send me an email, the information is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.